Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books from Book of the Month Club and beyond. It's Tag Tuesday. I'm Renee. I'm your host. I'm going to get started with the New York tag, or the New York tag. So the first question is, what is your favorite book set in or around New York? And I chose for that the book called Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, which sometimes when you know some New Yorkers, that's actually a pretty good description. But anyway, that's not exactly what the book is about. But the author is Jonathan Safran Foer, Foer. Not sure if you say it four or four. But anyway, yes, I like that book. Yeah, it's interesting. I listened to it on audio and I really enjoyed that one. So, next question, number 2. New York is famous for its skyscrapers. What is the highest building you have been up? Well, I went to the top of the CN Tower in Toronto, and that was a very enjoyable experience. I went up there at night. And you can it's amazing what you can see, the lights, absolutely incredible. You can see Lake Ontario. It's truly gorgeous. It is 1,815 feet. I looked it up. It is 553 meters. And technically, it's actually not a building because it doesn't have floors going up. What it is an antenna to rise above all the other buildings. So, but I'm still going to count it. I went to the Empire State Building, but that was so long ago. I don't even remember any of it. I remember feeling very strange on the elevator shooting up. That's about all I remember of it. So let's see. Question number 3. New York, New York. So good they named it twice. It's kind of like couscous. The food's so nice they named it twice. What is the last book you reread? Well, the last book I reread was, I believe, 1984. I read that so long ago. Again, I really did not remember a lot of the names of the characters or really much of the plot. I mean, we all know the basic story about it being set in the future and, that kind of thing. But yeah, well, it's not set in the future anymore. It's set in 1984. But yeah, a futuristic type of novel, I guess is what I'm saying. We all know that, basic information about it, but I had forgotten a lot of the details. And I read it as actually my first banned book for 2024, to read 24 banned books in 2024. So I enjoyed it, reading it, that time, and really, I think, got a lot more out of it. But speaking of rereads, yesterday I had a great find at the Goodwill. 3 Steinbeck books for $1. So I chose The Winter of Our Discontent, Travels with Charlie. These are all in great shape. This one even has, and I think there was a tag about this, deckled edges. Very nice. And Of Mice and Men, also with the nice little deckled edges and nice flap jacket. So these will all be rereads for me because I've read these Steinbeck novels before, but I will happily reread those because they're all very good. So number 4. American Psycho was a disturbing novel set in New York. What is the most disturbing book you've read? Well, I've been meaning to talk about this book because I really enjoyed it, but yeah, it had a very disturbing edge for me, and that is a book that is called The Good Nurse. It has also, excuse me, been made into a movie. The movie is also very good. And it is about a nurse who also happens to be a serial killer. And he kills people at his work. He worked in different hospitals in the New Jersey and Pennsylvania area. It is a true story, based on a true crime. His name is Charles Cullen, and he was eventually convicted of 29 murders. However, they think that he may have murdered up to 400 people. Yeah. He jumped from hospital to hospital. He worked for different agencies and all kinds of things where he just always stayed under the radar. And so just the sheer number of people that he killed, and he killed them by injecting their IV bags with things like insulin and heart medications. Just the sheer number and the length of time that this went on, it went on for approximately 16 years. It's pretty chilling to me. And the scenes in the movie and the book where they're on to him, now we have detectives involved. It's not just the hospitals investigating, but they've had to bring in, of course, a nurse who knows him, so that she can bring that medical side to it. And eventually, through their friendship is really kind of how he gets caught. I don't want to give up too much of the story, but those scenes between the two of them, and it's mostly just the two of them in the movie and the book, it is incredibly chilling. So I would say the book and movie, The Good Nurse. So number 5 is, where were you when you heard the news about 911? Well, in 2001, I was living and working in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I was on my way to work. New Mexico is 2 hours behind New York in terms of time. They're on the mountain time. And I think I was actually coming into work a little bit later that day. I'm not sure why. Maybe I had a stop to make on the way or something like that. And so by the time I started hearing the news, there was a plane over the Pentagon. And that's the way they were announcing it on the radio. I only heard kind of like the tail end of this, but in my mind, I immediately started thinking, oh my gosh, there's way more to this story than what I'm hearing. I knew. So by the time I got to work, I mean, the 2 planes had already crashed into the World Trade Center, and we were already on to the Pentagon situation, and then the plane that eventually crashed in the field in Pennsylvania as well. So, yeah, just amazing. But I was a little bit behind the times, but got caught up, of course. And it was a very shocking day. And I know a lot of people who were in New York City on that day, and I just can't even imagine it. Very sad and very difficult. So the next one is number 6. What is your favorite movie set in New York? Okay, this was somewhat of a no-brainer, really. My favorite movie set in New York? You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Of course it was Taxi Driver. How can you go wrong with Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, and Sybil Shepherd? Robert De Niro and Jodie Foster were kind of brand new actors at the time, and look what they've done since then. That movie came out in 1976, and I mean, I still remember it, and I still remember going to that movie. It was absolutely incredible, and it was a very powerful movie. So, yeah, I would say it was Taxi Driver for sure. Number 7, have you been to New York? And when was the last time you visited New York? I went to New York on several occasions. I'm really not sure of the last time, to be truthful. I think the last time I was actually in the city to walk around and tour things was in the 80s. I know I went to the Guggenheim Museum. I went to Central Park. Went to a couple of places to eat. So yeah, I remember doing all of that. But since that time, I think I've really only kind of driven through or been in cities that are kind of more the outskirts of that area. So yeah, I think I'm due for a trip. And what's interesting is from the area that I live in here in Virginia, you can take an Amtrak train to either Washington, D.C. or New York. It'd be a great way to do it because then you have to worry about parking your car. So yeah, I think I need to do that. Number 8 is, who is your favorite painter from New York, or what is your favorite painting of New York? I'm going to cheat on this one just a little bit. It's not a painter or paintings. It's actually a photographer, and it's photographs. And in case you've never heard of her name, you gotta look her up. Her name is Vivian Maier, Maier. And this lady was not known for being a photographer during her lifetime at all. In fact, she was not a famous person at all. She was a nanny, and she worked in different cities, mainly in the United States, but I think a little bit overseas as well. She worked in New York, Chicago, LA, but I think most of her photographs are from New York. On her days off, she would take her camera, and when I say camera, I mean the, large format, old black and white film, looking down into the lens, double lens, not the easiest in the world to focus or carry around, or purchase film for, or get the film developed, or anything like that. And she did street photography, which means most of the time she didn't know the people that she was photographing. She would, I guess, just either ask them or just surreptitiously, take their picture out on the street. And this was in the 40s and 50s. So it was back in the day when people dressed up a little bit. They had, the fine old cars and things like that. Of course, they weren't old cars then, fine new cars that now we just marvel at. So yeah, her photographs are incredible. They're just unbelievable what she captured. I saw an exhibit of her work when I lived in Florida. There was an exhibit in Tampa. There's a photography museum there that really does a great job getting different exhibits from everywhere. And they had some of her photography. It was just discovered. It was discovered by somebody. I want to say he purchased like a storage container or something that nobody had opened in forever. And he found all of this film. And it's very expensive to develop all of it. But also now, apparently there have been some lawsuits with her extended family, which she did have some family, I guess, overseas, and they want some of the proceeds from publishing all of this photography that she had. So yeah, this was she was first published on the internet in 2008. And there is a documentary film about her life, and it's called Finding Vivian Maier, and that came out in 2023, and I think you can find it on, Netflix or Prime or whatever. So if you haven't seen her work, I would strongly recommend taking a look at it. Number 9, what is your favorite song about New York? Well, for the edgy and gritty side of New York, I would say it is Walk on the Wild Side by Lou Reed, and that came out in 1972. It is, speaking of bands, bands, B-A-N-S, it is a song about transgendered people. It does have references to sexual acts. It does have references to drug use. And so for 1972, it was, pushing the edge. And I remember that a lot of the AM stations, I don't think would even play the song where I lived. I mean, depending on where you lived, you may have never heard it when you were younger. And then, there were certain verses that they would bleep out. There were certain words that they would bleep out. It was always, that edgy kind of a song. Lou Reed was a friend of David Bowie, and between the two of them, they really pushed the limits of those gender identity and gender issues, you know, and truthfully, we didn't think that much about it back then. I mean, it was just another thing. Yeah, just strange. But yeah, transgender stuff isn't new, even though some people seem to, come at the problem as though that's as though it's a brand new thing. It's not at all. Uh, then another song that I would choose as far as kind of the more mellow romantic side of New York is New York State of Mind by Billy Joel. That's a good song. Really, anything by Billy Joel kind of gives you that New York feeling. So, yeah. So, this is a very interesting tag. I had to look up some stuff to really have some answers ready for this one. This isn't kind of one to do off the top of your head because you don't always, remember everything. But yeah, it was very enjoyable. So the number 10 is to tag some people. Well, I'm going to tag all people. If you're watching this and you want to do this tag, and I strongly recommend that you do because it's fun, then go ahead and pick it up and say that you saw it here on Beyond Books. So thank you very much for watching. If you like my content, don't forget to like, subscribe, give me that thumbs up, ring the notification bell, leave a comment for me. I always appreciate those kinds of things, and have a wonderful day.